What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the distance. As you can tell by the name of this video, it's called Floyd Mayweather Rumours. And I'm calling it Rumours because I think in a way his situation is reminiscent of the 1977 album between Fleetwood Mac, Rumours. If you haven't heard anything of the history of that album, the history of that album was that Fleetwood Mac was going through a lot of turmoil and personal problems, and until that record came out, and those personal problems led to one of the best albums that ever came out in music history, and one of the best-selling albums of all time. And Floyd Mayweather, as we know, has a lot of personal problems, stemming from being arrested and public trying to make public pretty much trying to make an example out of him, and the IRS stuff and all this other stuff going on. But I think it could be, if he fights Pacquiao, this is leading to that. It's leading to that pinnacle of his career. A lot of rumors going on, a lot of rumors flying around. On Rope It Up Radio last week, Nate Jones, who is in Mayweather's camp, had said that Mayweather should be fighting before Pacquiao. He's going to fight somebody before Pacquiao. And we've heard all the rumors, the $100 million. We know about the court cases and who he may face. And so overall, I'm just going to give you a rundown of what I think is going to happen. People are saying Paul Mccloskey out of Pittsburgh. Paul Mccloskey, as a lot of people know, kind of gave Floyd the biz in that sparring matchup about 12, 13 years ago. That's what a lot of people pretty much know, but Paul Spadafora had lost some years of his career and hadn't really fought a relevant opponent since. But I'll get back to Paul Mccloskey. Also, my personal opinion, I think that Floyd Mayweather, more than likely, is going to face the winner of Berto Ortiz. I personally think that he's going to fight the winner of that matchup. And the reason I think he's going to fight the winner of that matchup because it's an easy matchup to make for him. I believe that Andre Berto is without Heyman, and he can also Lou DiBella, and they can easily make that fight happen. And also, something intriguing is in June 2008, Andre Berto won the belt that Floyd Mayweather vacated, that Floyd Mayweather never lost. Andre Berto holds that belt, and he's been holding the belt for almost 3 years now. If he beats Ortiz, he's gonna have held it for 3 years. So that's intriguing in a way. And also, a lot of people saying Andre Berto deserves, a chance to cross over. He deserves the exposure. Andre Berto is pretty much everywhere now. Andre Berto, I've seen him all over. I've seen him on, and don't get me wrong, I don't watch the network all the time. Okay, sometimes. But he was on BET not too long. I saw him on BET. I've seen him on World Star Hip Hop. I've seen him all over it. People interviewing him. They were talking about him on Hip Hop DX about a year or two ago. But Andre Berto is now getting exposure, that hip hop community exposure that Floyd Mayweather had about 5-6 years ago. Andre Berto's getting that. And Zab Judas also had it as well. So I think he's going to end up fighting the winner of Berto Ortiz. And if he fights Ortiz, I could have never imagined this matchup happening June 26, 2009, when Ortiz lost to Marcos Maidana. I couldn't imagine it happening, but Golden Boy isn't going to protect him. They're not going to protect him. Victor Ortiz has gotten so much exposure from HBO to where they could easily make this matchup happen, and Victor Ortiz is a Golden Boy fighter. So that fight could easily happen, though. Also, in a way, you can turn around and you can talk about how it's similar to Trinidad Reed back in 2000. How you have an older experienced fighter, and you have a younger fighter who's really just not there mentally, but there as far as skills go, he's there. Though David Reed never had a loss in his career. He was only 15 fights in, and Victor Ortiz does have more. But Reed was a little older than Ortiz, but it is what it is. But personally, I'm not gonna get on here and I'm gonna criticize Floyd. I think that the next fight, if he faces Because this is how I look at it. Manny Pacquiao was a southpaw. 2 out of 3 of those fighters are southpaws. Paul Spadafora is a southpaw, despite the fact that he hasn't had a relevant opponent since 2002. And Victor Ortiz is a southpaw. And Ortiz is the aggressive southpaw. Manny Pacquiao is a southpaw. So 2 out of the 3 benefit. Actually, I take that back. 3 out of 3 benefit him. So how does Andre Berto benefit him? Andre Berto is a younger fighter, fresher fighter, and he has a very, very good work rate when he lets the hands go. He's gonna and Ortiz and Spadafora are 2 opponents that are southpaws, and Ortiz doesn't let his hands go anymore. He's not really as vicious as he used to be. Paul Spadafora is more of a boxing southpaw. He's not gonna go for the knockout, but he's gonna try to just outbox you. And Ortiz does he boxes, but he's aggressive as well. But he doesn't fight as aggressively as a Manny Pacquiao. But Andre Berto is a young fighter with a very good work rate. When he lets the hands go, has good hand speed, and everything. He's undefeated. He's only, well, I'll take it back. Spadafora is undefeated as well, but he has blemishes on his record though. He hasn't, like I said, he's older and hasn't really done anything in boxing since 2002, other than face C and D level opponents. But the sensible thing to do is to face one of these 3. One of these 3, because these 3 fighters prepare him, in essence, in a way, for Manny Pacquiao. So if Pacquiao fights somebody else in November, Mayweather can go and he could fight 2 of these guys, 2 of the 3. He could fight, say he goes in, he could fight Andre Berto, or he fights Paul Spadafora, southpaw, to kind of get ready for that southpaw orthodox matchup, and then go in and fight Andre Berto. And that builds up the matchup even more if he goes in and he faces Pacquiao afterward. That's just the way to go about it in my eyes. But I don't know what you guys think. But anyway, guys, that was The Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.